Hello and welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport and a packed weekend of motorsport to look back at. IndyCar and Indy NXT from Iowa, Formula 2 and 3 from the Hungaroring, World Rallycross from the Fires of Hell, WRC from Estonia, and TCR Europe, Formula Regional European and Euroformula from Paul Ricard. So with all that, make sure you subscribe and let's jump into the video. Let's go to America first and discuss the IndyCar races at Iowa. Alex Palou has a big lead in the championship, but this has been Newgarden country in the past. So can the Indy 500 winner launch himself back into title contention? Well, the Penske cars were 1, 2 and 3 and looked in dominant form. Power and McLaughlin left everyone in the dust, especially Colton Herta, who ran into early trouble and dropped a couple of laps back, continuing his terrible season. By lap 90, it was a three-way fight between the Penskes, fighting their way through the traffic. It was edge-of-your-seat stuff. Newgarden joined Power in a fight for the lead, whilst lapping the 8th place car of Rossi before half distance. Will Power had a worrying moment when he touched the wall and dropped to 4th, but he got lucky and got away with it. It took 152 laps before we got our first caution. Graham Rahal went high and hit the wall, lucky not to collect anyone. Josef Newgarden unsurprisingly won for the 5th time at Iowa, ahead of McLaughlin. There were only 5 cars on the lead lap by the end. 3 were Penske's. Race 2 went pretty much the same, except Newgarden was in the lead by lap 25, ahead of both his Penske teammates. So he had a yellow and a safety car just before the halfway. Sato then slid into the wall but did not cause any caution, so the race continued with Penske leading the field. We got another caution after Stingray Rob left the pit with a loose wheel. Luckily, we didn't have a repeat of the Indy 500 incident. 10 laps left and Ryan Hunter-Reay brought out another caution, bunching the field up for a late sprint. It was not enough to stop Newgarden doing the double. 2 wins at Iowa and title charge back on. He is still 80 points behind Alex Palou, who had a decent enough weekend with an 8th and a 3rd. Couple of weeks time we head to Nashville, which has been a banger of a race since it debuted a couple of years ago. Indy NXT also had a race at Iowa. Many of the title contenders were near the front and it was a very clean race. We didn't get a caution until the last 15 laps when Nolan Siegel was pitched out to the side. Christian Rasmussen dominated the race but was put under pressure by Jacob Abel at the end and it was a close finish. Rasmussen takes advantage of Nolan Siegel's struggles and takes the championship lead. Credit to Jamie Chadwick, I believe this was her first oval race and she stayed out of trouble for 10th. Matt Brabham was here as well, replacing Nannini, and he got 4th on his debut. Formula 2 is a fight between Frederic Vesti and Teo Pourchaire. Others are closing in, but these two have been the top drivers in 2023. Dennis Hager took the lead from the second row at the start of the sprint, but this, as all races at Hungary tend to be, was a race of tyres. Ralph Boschung has had terrible luck since his fantastic start to the year. He was taken out by Clement Novalak, with Arthur Leclerc getting caught up as well. That brought out the virtual safety car, which gave everyone's tyres a chance to cool a little bit. Not that it helped Kush Miney, as he dropped back down the field towards the end, barely hanging on for a couple of points. Dennis Hager won the race. The feature race was another dull affair, not a lot of overtaking. Clement Novalak was an early retirement. Jack Crawford almost sent Zane Maloney into the wall on the front straight. Maloney lucky not to crash. Vesti was racing Doohan at the front, but tyres again played a big part, and once again the race was sort of a waiting game. No one really pushing for fear of ruining their tyres. It picked up a bit after Vesti and Martins pitted. Pourchaire was right up with his title rival, but as teammate Victor Martins came out the pits, Pourchaire was sent wide and he lost ground and Isaac Hadjar got past. Not a lot happened towards the end. Jack Doohan dominated this race, taking his first win of 2023. Vesti was in second with Pourchaire dropping to 5th. Ayumu Iwaza had a good weekend and puts himself back up with the top 2 in the championship, but Frederic Vesti has an 11-point lead over Pourchaire and Iwaza is another 10 back. The title race is between these 3 right now, but if Jack Doohan, Oliver Behrman or Victor Martins can have a super weekend, then they're still all in with a chance too. But time is running out. Will Pourchaire finally be Formula 2 champion, or will he miss out again? Formula 3 was also running at the Hungaroring and the sprint race was a fairly dull affair. It suffered with the same lack of overtaking that every race in Hungary suffers from. Not too many incidents. There were a few cars off at the start, with Tommy Smith the worst off, and Sebastian Montoya's rotten luck continued when he pulled over to the side of the track and brought out the safety car. Nikita Bedrin put in a fine performance, but couldn't hold off Gabriel Mini, who took the win. Bortoleto was in 3rd and keeps up that razor sharp consistency. There was another incident late on involving Pepe Marte and Nicolas Solov. Solov was on for his first points up until that happened. So the feature race, Gabriel Bortoleto has been devastating in these races, and that is what has given him such a good lead in the series. But he was stuck in the lower end of the points surrounded by other Trident cars. A safe 7th place in the end. Zach O'Sullivan took a record equaling 4th win of the year and is now in 2nd place behind Bortoleto. He leads a pack of 6 cars that could still feature in the title race should Bortoleto slip up somewhere. Not a great weekend of racing at the Hungaroring, and I'm so glad it's on the calendar for pretty much the next decade. World Rally Championship from Estonia, and this was not as much of a rally of attrition as previous rounds, except for home hero Ott Tanak, who had engine issues before the start and entered stage 1 with a 5-minute penalty. A shame, as he was blisteringly quick and got that penalty down to about 3 minutes. But a disaster nonetheless, for Ott Tanak and Ford. Kalle Rovanperä and Thierry Neuville led the way, but by the start of day 3, no one could match the pace of Rovanperä. Another dominant win, and he now has a massive lead over teammate Evans, who is just keeping Neuville and Tanak behind him. Briefly on the World Rallycross situation, what an absolute disaster. Special One Racing are probably going out of business, or at the very least, I doubt they'll return to World Rallycross. A fire in the battery compartment of one car ended up destroying their area completely, ending their season, which would leave about 5 or 6 cars to take part. Cancel the rest and go back to petrol from 2024. This was always a risk. Electric cars are not easy to put out when they are on fire. Can't exactly just chuck a bottle of water over it. A lot of fire crews turned up, World Rallycross was cancelled, and 2 beautiful Lancia Deltas are gone forever. Let this be a lesson to any series wanting to go full electric. There are a lot of drawbacks. TCR Europe from Paul Ricard, an underwhelming race series at an underwhelming racetrack. Adventure Ho. Both races were dull. John Filippi won race 1 and Kobe Powell's race 2. I feel TCR World Tour has basically destroyed this series, but it carries on in August. Tom Coronel still leads the championship. Formula Regional European came to us from Paul Ricard as well. It has been all about Martinius Stenshorn and Andrea Kimi Antonelli in 2023. Their first race was tedious, not a lot happened. 1 yellow flag period for multiple cars off, and a first win in the series for Frenchman Alessandro Giesti. The second race was much the same. Lorenzo Fluxer and Michael Bora made contact, and thereafter it was a surprisingly calm for Formula Regional European. Some good battling and another win for Andrea Kimi Antonelli. He now leads Stenshorn by 6 points and everyone else is miles behind. And finally, Euro Formula. It's amazing anything can happen with only 8 cars, yet the first race had a big turn up for the books. In fact, the whole library was pitched upside down. Francesco Simonazzi and Noel Leon are the class of this very small field, so when Leon passed Simonazzi and the latter responded by taking them both out of the race, the door was open for a shock winner. That shock winner was Juju Noda. Nu not only took advantage of the chaos caused by Simonazzi, but she also led the race and controlled the pace well. A great success for the Japanese rookie. Bryce Aaron won a much calmer race too, with Noel Leon down in 7th. Bryce Aaron could be a title contender if he keeps beating Leon and Simonazzi. Kian Shields took the final win ahead of Leon, who did not have a great weekend, and Juju Noda got another podium on a fantastic weekend for the young Japanese racer. Noel Leon still leads the championship, but now only 17 points ahead of Bryce Aaron, with Kian Shields and Francesco Simonazzi not far behind. Only halfway through the season, the title could still be in play. So that was a very full weekend of motorsport. I haven't even got to British GT and TCR UK yet. Hopefully next weekend is a lot quieter. We only have Formula 1, 2 and 3 again, this time at Spa. The final weekend of Formula E is in London. The penultimate round of the F1 Academy at Paul Ricard. British Touring Cars is back in action, as is GP3 from Silverstone. Supercars and S5000 are at Sydney. And NASCAR has the Cockout 300 or something. My race of the past weekend goes to something that was not a race, the WRC in Estonia. Much more of a fight than normal. Leave your thoughts down below, make sure you subscribe. Thank you for watching, and have a good one.